Hi everyone, Soul Super 17 here. Let me show as usual. I did not own the picture, made the thumbnail, and this is a non-paid video. Alright, okay. So, here's the thing. I'm thinking about making another Bell What If, but I'm also maybe going back to the ones I made and try to basically, work on them. But I really do want to get this whole entire, try to get up to at least part 4 of this. Not part 4, like season 4 of the basically anime, and just, but I'm thinking about basically this was someone's suggestion for a Bell What If. What if Bell had the mark of the outsider, I believe? Let me just double check that. Yeah. So, I'm going to probably make the thumbnail whenever I can and try to work on the story. But I got something I gotta do tomorrow, and I gotta finish up some stuff still from my work. It's just taking some time because I'm kind of lazy. I'm not joking, I'm kind of basically lazy on doing it. I'm trying to do and stuff, but yeah. Alright, so basically, I don't want to basically constantly make a new video, so I'm trying to get my old ones or making whatever I get done. Because I did hear there's a season 5 danmachi, so coming out, maybe. So I really want to get basically up to season 4 and get done with it, and basically kind of like see where this goes. People are still watching this one. Not that I basically just work on some other stuff, but the Mark of the Outsider for Bell will be kind of a unique twist, because how I'm gonna do it, I only can think of basically, like, Hestia abandons him. Like, legit. And because of the outsider's an outside entity, he can technically give Bell basically Bell the exact same system that the gods have in this world, but the only difference is he constantly has easier time leveling up than anyone. That's the only thing I can come up with. I'm gonna have to basically probably get some advice from some people I know. But yeah, that's how I would think it would be. Because it'd probably have to do when basically the outsiders dies in his original world, coming back to with Naruto, coming to this new world. But the fact is, since there's gods, he can't really do much. He can influence people, but not many people would interest him because of this. Because of the gods. Only one would use Bell. And I could make basically some gods try to kill Hestia, and basically, I don't know. It's like I'm trying to bring up all these new ideas because of it. And though I am gonna make this what if, but I just don't know where I'm gonna go with it. A path of revenge, a path of basically redemption, or maybe actually Freya could be the one to take him in this time around. Because Hestia basically, like I said, abandons him. Let me know what you guys think. Have the idea in the comments, please, and thank you. So, yeah. Alright then, let's get this thing started though. This is basically part 10 of What If I Was in danmachi. So, just to do a quick recap, I got Bell and his gang, some new equipment. I also found out I couldn't leave danmachi. And, well, I basically got 2 items from basically Seer/Freya. I also basically told Hermes off and ordered him around. So yeah. Oh, quick thing. Before the video uploads, I'm probably gonna leave it in my community tab saying, "Hey everyone, I basically got this basically the suggestion idea for a bell what if. So again, basically want you guys to basically go see the video. If you guys haven't seen that, go see that. If not, if you want to, I mean, it's your guys' choice. Anyways, back to it. So and basically we're in the dungeons now. So yeah. So anyways, continuing on. This is basically What If I Was a danmachi Part 10. Now, also I have to take care of the fire, so yeah. Anyways, so now here's what happens. Basically, while we're basically getting into basically the dungeon, well, looking at basically the bracelet, I'm seeing the Triforce basically on it. I'm thinking, was Hyrule here once, or is it still here? I mean, that would kind of be impossible, but I mean, we only know about Orion, or whatever I pronounce it. Is it Orderon sometimes? Because that's the only way I can basically say it, I think. Alright, anyways. So, then I'm basically thinking, though, but none of this seems right, though. So, if, though, the whole entire Legend of Zelda verse is here, does that mean technically the royal family's here, then? Link and Zelda? Reincarnations? That means Ganon, too. As well, we're basically getting onto the first floor. I will have the bracelet around my wrist, and then basically have to put on the necklace. As then I would basically looking at basically what the necklace holds onto it, basically as a pendant, and basically I see basically the symbol of the royal family. I'm like, how the heck is Legend of Zelda here? This isn't possible. In which, basically, while we're basically, just walking the first floor, I'm thinking and looking at the pendant, all of a sudden, basically, everyone hears cracks, and above me, basically, they look up, they basically have to tell me to watch out because two monsters pop out. As I immediately, basically, in that instant, grab my sword, which is Witcher, and basically slash them, basically, in two, both of them. As I just sigh, and basically I say that there's no point to think about it now. Gotta focus. So, I look at everyone like, sorry about that, everyone. Got a little bit distracted. Nearly let my guard down because of my thoughts. So we're gonna get going, alright? Which everyone just not. So, while we're going, basically, monsters are coming out. They basically are just dying very quickly just to do, testing out basically the donor, basically gun. And, it seems I can basically shoot non-stop. Which, basically, I do basically feel it keeps on draining a little bit of my magic time after time after time. So after basically a good number of bullets are shot, I stop and put it away, and I smirk. Which everyone's thinking, like, that's just, what's that? So, yeah, give me a minute. As, basically, though, as soon as that thought, came to everyone's head, I'm just basically walking forward, and we're basically just entering the second floor. In which Hermie asks, hey, Osvi, what do you think of basically this, wolf hunter? She just sighs and would say, well, so far the skills he's shown isn't much, but for some reason I can tell he's strong in his own right. I need more basic information on him, but he was said to kill a minotaur and some unknown creature. That's all we know of. And basically the ant monster that appeared and he killed it. In which basically Hermes was like, true, but someone like him basically able to kill these monsters so easily with whatever that weapon is seems to be a little bit off. I don't know how that's possible, but it is. But this guy's being very, very interesting at the moment. In which he just sighs. So, while basically we're on the second floor, I basically am leading them basically to basically the bunker, which I'm just calling it my little safe room bunker. As this, I just open up the panel and such. As immediately, everyone just sees basically, safe area, which is like and basically Hestia sees the Grace there, and well, Grace or basically Lantern. She's like, what's that? I'm like, don't worry about it, please. Which technically she would not, but then she would remember what it's called, and yeah, which everyone's just like, okay. So I think basically Odar, no wait, Makoto would ask. Let me just double check I got the name right. Okay, which Makoto would ask that, why are we here? I'm like, first off, we need basically more supplies on us than basically what we have. So we can't carry much. So, I suggest we just basically grab the bare essentials. Basically, I will look, around, find some arrows. Basically. And basically I throw them to Makoto. Find basically a spear, throw that to Oka. Basically a shield, basically I would give that to Hestia. And basically one to Hermes, I'll find another one. Which Hermes was like, oh? For me, it was like, you may not basically like it, but you have to defend yourself and basically no one can protect you. At least with a shield, you'll be able to at least do that much. Which Hermes basically just smirks. He's like, well, thank you. Basically, he tips his hat to me. I'm like, yeah, me thinking, I hate the guy, and yeah, I like him. Well, not in that way. I like his character. Basically, he'd be a friend to you at 1 minute, and then he tries to help you by using you in his own little plans, and yet, it's just really annoying, though. Whatever. Doesn't matter. As long as basically I can keep at least I'm not on his radar. But I gotta basically keep Belle safe from him. Me thinking though, basically a quick thought that pops in my head, like, why if I kill him now? Tilting my head to the side in real life, I'm like, nah, not worth it. I don't need the heat on the gods on me just yet. So, as soon as basically we just get some more supplies, and basically, me actually basically kind of remember I never use my throwing knives no more. I would just pick up basically, disposable ones. And basically then we would leave. As they say, I think probably Oka would try basically to put his hand on it. He's like, he goes, you were trying to open it up, see if it will work for you, huh? He's like, yes. I'm like, that's my little secret. I kind of smirk at him underneath the mask, and we go back to me not being in a playful mood, but more serious. So from the next, basically, floors going down, oh boy. It was very, very, very shocking for most, because any monsters that came around, I immediately basically, took them out. I basically, did not let none of them pass me. In which, I think basically Osvi and basically Ryu, including Hermes, was sort of impressed. Which Oka, Chizuka, and Makoto were just like shocked. Yeah, just let me double check. Okay, give me a minute. Chizuka. And we're probably on around the 10th floor by now. Which I just basically take a deep breath in and sigh. As basically, I basically, crack my neck a bit. As basically I look, I'm like, don't worry about basically any of these monsters. I'm taking care of them, so when we go on the 12th floor downwards, you guys can basically do your work. For now, basically I'm taking care of them since they're the small fries. In which they just blink. Everyone, I mean. And basically not slowly. So we do get to the 12th floor. And then I look at basically Oka, Shizuka, Makoto, Asmi, and Ryu. I'm like, now then. The monsters here are going to be more, so I want you guys to basically keep an eye out. And basically, if you find any hellhounds or lizard rock monsters and get their cores, give me them. I got something I want to finally upgrade. Which, they're like, huh? Which basically even Hermes is kind of curious, but Osvi, or I did write her name, but I just always call her Osvi for some reason, basically look at me like, what are you going to do? I'm like, can finally give basically this bow a good upgrade that it needs. In which basically I would just summon out the bow basically that I got for the first time. In which she just blinks and would nod. So, what happens is this. Basically, while we're basically going down, and we do take along basically the monsters, the hellhounds, and basically the lizard rock monsters. I basically, we got enough crystals. Basically, I'm like, well, seems like basically there's no monsters around for now, so it's perfect time to actually finally use this skill of mine. Which they're like, huh? I basically put up basically my right hand, and I say, I summon thee to my side, forge. As basically all of a sudden, a forge appears. Basically, the actual forge, basically the hammers, basically the anvil, everything. Which basically they're just all shocked, and Hermes is like, how? I'm like, consider basically a gift from Loki for giving her some entertainment. And like I look at basically Asui, Makoto, Shizuka, Oka, and basically Ryu. I'm like, keep basically your eyes open. I can basically tell you while I'm working basically where they're coming. Which they just all blink and just nod slowly as I get to work. Basically, I put the bow and the string in the fire as it's heating up. And basically I put I'm holding basically the fire, not fire, but the hellhound basically monster course and the basically rock lizard monster course in my hand. Nothing's happening, which is a good sign. Basically, I'm waiting and watching basically the bow. Everyone's thinking it's going to catch on fire, but the bow is starting to heat up. Basically, including the string, which then I immediately take it out, put basically the fire, the hellhound basically crystals on the bow string, then basically the rock monster based on the bow itself, the wooden part basically. As then I basically grab a hammer, basically another hammer basically comes basically in front of basically where near basically where the lizard rock monster cores are. As then the hammer and me just start swinging basically as everyone hear the clang. As I think some of them will be in shock. Basically, they're thinking I'm going to be breaking it. As Asui and Ryu, even Hermes and Hestia are just seeing. Basically, the crystals actually look like they're infusing itself into it. As basically, I keep on hammering. I basically, am putting some of my magic into basically the bow itself. As what happens is, though, after basically a few more bangs, hitting basically the cores, all of a sudden, basically a bright light glows. And, after that, after the light disappears, everyone looks, and basically it's a whole new bow. Bow and string. As I'm just smirking. As what they see is basically the bow has like a rocky texture to it. It looks like rocks are coming off of the bow and such. And basically it looks like it's very, basically, heavy. And basically the size of it was a goblin bow. Well, it looked like a goblin bow, so a short bow. But now it just looks like a regular bow. And basically the string's glowing red, which I'm just smirking. I'm like, upgraded to this, and it looks pretty good. Basically the color though is still brown, but it has a rocky texture to it, even some rocks coming off of it. The bowstring's basically, red. That means basically that it worked very good. And, hold up. Okay, as basically everyone was wondering why I made it, all of a sudden basically two monsters basically pop up out of nowhere as I immediately pull back on the bowstring, and basically two fire arrows appear as I let loose of them, as they both hit the monsters, and let's how I said fire. But as soon as basically it hits the monsters, all of a sudden, basically it looks like an instant, it looks like basically it hits them and it's like melting them, as they instantly die out as the monster cores are perfectly fine. Which I'm like, I just whistle, I'm like, I didn't know that actually worked. Turned into lava arrows instead of fire one. Which just, Hermes is like, that's amazing. You just made a magic weapon. I'm like, not magic. Well, technically it is, basically, but you have to supply the bowstring your own magic. And basically, since it's not basically a magic sword, which is just technically like a crystal sword, it won't break, since it basically uses the monster quartz itself. Which Hesiod's like, that I didn't think you can do that. I'm like, the forge basically skill I have, and along with basically the blacksmith skill, works in tandem to me. And basically also that one skill that also helps me with a miracle to make magical items. So, to be fair, with all three of those working together, I basically can make anything magical. Call it magic dagger if I want to. In which that just shocks Hermes, Asfi, and Ryu, which I'm like, anyways, here Makoto. As I just throw Makoto the bow, she catches it. She goes, just think of how many arrows you want and supply basically the amount of magic you think wouldn't be needed. The bow will compensate for the magic that you don't basically put in. She goes, is there like a limit to basically the... I'm like, nah, there shouldn't be a limit. Which her eyes widen along with everyone else. I'm like, come on, we gotta keep going. By the way, I am gonna want that back though. She would nod slowly. As we've been taking out the monsters, I also been grabbing some of the cores basically, to sell later. Back to basically the guild, we basically would get, down to basically floor 16. As I'm smirking, I'm like, feels great to be back here again. Wait, no, not floor 16. We basically would get to I wanted to say floor 15, not 16. As when we were down there, basically I would get basically a paint inside my map in my head, which I'm like, wait, another location discovered? So I literally just look back and I'm like, everyone, we're gonna make a quick basically pit stop somewhere. And no matter what, don't let your guard down. Which they would nod. So, what happens is very simple. We basically will follow basically where they will follow me as I'm basically running towards basically the location. As, basically when we get there, it's just basically in, dead end. Which Oka's like, why'd you lead us to a dead end? Basically, I would see something out of place, which I would go over, basically run my hand basically against the wall, as basically I feel like a little bit of a crevice there. Which I'm like, that's not right. Which they're like, huh? As I put my hand, further basically into that little crevice, making it basically the size of my fingers, and then basically pull the rock out of out of basically the area. Basically that was blocking off, which everyone's in shock. I'm like, of course it will be basically something like this. Someone basically was stuck in here. They blocked it off. Great. Whatever it could have been. Venture? I'll be saying this out loud. So, what happens is simple. We basically would, I would basically walk in and immediately see basically a dead, body there, but it's a skeleton dead body, which I'm like, how long have you been here? Years with the dust on you? So I would go over basically, I would see basically basically the hand that the skeleton's holding is a letter, clenched. Which I would go over and I would apologize, and I slowly and carefully remove basically the hands from the letter. In which, when everyone came in already and saw me doing this, they're like, what are you doing? As I basically start reading the letter, and basically would say this: dear to anyone who finds me, if you basically found me after my death, then please bring back my body to the surface where I could be buried. But if no one has found me, and basically I'm a skeleton, then please do whatever you want with me. I would prefer to be brought back to the surface to be buried, but have my basically bones and ashes being cremated in the dungeon doesn't sound too bad either. So, I would just like to say this to any adventurer or my companions from the Hera Familia: please, do not mourn my death. I am sorry for basically wandering off and basically getting hurt and basically, a fatal wound, and I died. I I simply saw something that I thought would be very useful. After our failed attempt on facing, well, said beast with the Zeus familia, I just wanted to basically bring something back. At least something that no one has ever seen before. It was a rare material, I thought. It turns out it was just a trap of it, basically the monsters. They lured me into an area and attacked. With my broken sword, I had no choice but still to fight. And yet I failed. I took a wound and now I'm here. I am sorry. I truly am. But, as I said, if you are a adventurer, not of the Hera Familia, then please, take basically my belongings, my armor, whatever basically it is, even my broken sword. They are yours. At least then they basically will not go to waste. I feel that my basically time is ending. Please. Please, if you could. If you're on the way back to the surface, bring me back. Bury me somewhere. Anywhere. Burn me basically here. I do not want to basically have my bones or my body stuck in the dungeon forever. That is the only thing I ask as a request. As this payment, as I said, you can take whatever of my belongings with you. That is all I can give you for this task. So I beg you, adventurer, my comrades, whoever, just bring me back home, up to the surface. As basically they were about to sign their name and never did. Because the letter goes off basically of blood. As blood is basically, I think he only had enough strength to write. Not to write, to write and fold it, since he couldn't write his name. He was losing consciousness, I think. So basically I give the letter to Hestia, and she reads it as I basically start to, take each armor piece off, basically bit by bit. Basically even basically searching the belongings he has, which basically wasn't really much. Probably some healing potions that basically aren't good no more. Some basically, rusty weapons. And basically a bag full of basically, a couple bags full of basically materials. Like iron ore, crystals, basically copper, a diamond? Amethyst, and even some unknown basically ones I don't know of. I think if some of them are fire resistance, basically make the blade to basically resist fire if you're totally going against fire enemies, and even basically allow it to do frost damage with some of these ores. As basically I would basically pick one up as I see my fingertips freezing a bit, basically on my left hand, and I put it back, I'm like, yeah. The reason why it doesn't basically affect because these bags are basically imbued with magic. I wonder how they can last so long. As everyone read the letter, they basically Henry's asked, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, one, I'm taking the payment he basically is given, and two, I'm bringing back his bones. Does anyone have a big enough bag I can use? Which, basically, Shizuka would say, I do. Here, she basically gets out of her bag she was carrying and give it to me. As I put the bones in it. Basically, then I put it in the inventory, which I'm basically thinking to myself, for a breakthrough adventurer who died here alone, I can only do this much for you, I'm sorry. As I get up immediately, I'm like, we wasted enough time here. Come on. As when we get out, and we're about to reach, the 17th floor, reach the 17th area with the boss area, everything's quiet. Which I'm just thinking, that's not good. Which everyone's like, yeah, it isn't. Which Ryu and basically Osby are basically getting into a fighting stance. As me, I'm taking out the Witcher's sword, basically my katana, as I basically and looking around. As then I hear something. Basically, I immediately react and blocked an attack, which was by claws, basically from a monster, which is coming out of the hand. Which I'm like thinking, what the? As I've basically seen this creature with these lines going on its arm, well, downwards, basically both its arms, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, those look like somewhere I saw it before, and these claws, they're bones. As when I look at the creature, it has basically still the glowing marks, but it looks like basically multiple eyes are on it. And basically there's no basically hair and such. And just a mouth basically that has basically this blue mist coming out. As I'm thinking, what the? As Hestia screams out, even Hermes like thinking, what is this thing? As I immediately kick it away. Which I'm like, everyone, whatever you do, don't let it try to hit you. As basically, for some reason, everyone just basically, I'm looking at them, they basically are, kind of afraid, as I just sigh, like, trust me. Because I'm thinking this to myself, I know, trust me, this isn't an ugly creature. I've seen uglier from Bloodborne. As it basically then will have grip its basically left fist and bring out some other claws. I'm like, oh great, it's Wolverine. But the ugly cousin. Wait, no. The uglier basically species of him. Based on me, I basically then just mentally slapped myself because Wolverine's one of my favorite heroes, and yet I basically make a stupid joke about it. What the heck? What's wrong with me? As basically it just basically roars at me, growls and then roars and charges at me. As basically I'm basically get into a fighting stance. I'm like, well, looks like I can test out the rivers, my new improved basic katana, Rivers of Blood. As basically when it tries to strike, basically block with one, I basically block with the other, basically get my foot on fire and kick it, as Ryu basically would, go in and try to hit it, basically as it will block, but basically you hear basically a bone snap, which I'm just smirking. I'm like, it's not strong, it's... As then all of a sudden, though, it starts regenerating that bone back into place. I'm like, oh, you have to be kidding me. Which basically Ryu would jump back and he goes, that's impossible. Honestly, was like, yes. It seems that as I just rushed and basically putting down the Witcher sword, back into the sheath, and then basically grabbing the Rivers of, my new katana that I basically combined with the Rivers of Blood. I'm gonna call it Rivers of Blood right now. As I slash at it, and it basically does leave a deep gash. They slash at it 3 more times. It basically blocks, but because basically I'm hitting it, and it basically it's using its own arms, and basically some claws, sometimes there's claws to attack, not attack, to block, it does basically get bleed damage. So basically, all of a sudden they see it just, from the wound, spurts out blood, and then it just growls and basically roars at me again. And this time, I basically don't use the shield. Everyone basically sees all of a sudden my left arm changing, as basically right when the monster basically is about to attack me and it swings, I basically move my arm to the side and parry it. Basically, as it gets staggered, then I just basically stab it with the claws, as basically spurts out more blood, and basically for some reason I could feel something as I rip it out basically of the body of the creature, as it basically goes back and basically will fall down, as I'm like, well, ain't this nifty? As basically I see the beads from Sekiro, I'm like, this dungeon is making basically monsters for me. Thinking to myself, basically I can get items from it. Now then, as basically my arm turns back to normal, the mask would also have been there, disappear, my eyes, weren't glowing red. As Hermes like, what is this thing? I'm like, I just sigh, but there's no point in me hiding it. It's for me. These beads are something I need to basically collect, and basically will help improve something for me. I don't know. As then all of a sudden, basically, my right arm starts to glow yellow, as basically the beads start to glow, and then my essence flask. Basically, the little Elden beast comes floating out of it going around basically the beads and making it go towards basically the essence flask. As the beads start wrapping around it, and when it glows, basically, I can see basically it's, well, filled up a bit more, but that basically I'm thinking to myself, wait, I got more basically essence flask, so that means I can, as I see the little LMV still there, just go over basically to the monster's body, as then all of a sudden basically it takes off basically the blue marks off of it, and starts floating over to basically me and put it basically on my, well, near the tattoo, as basically it starts basically making like a, basically those designs, those lines basically on my arm, which then basically I just realized they look like circuits from the Fate series. As then basically it would basically just land back in the tattoo, as then I would hear it basically mentally saying, for basically any spells you need from Elden Ring, you need a lot more basically, well, power in you. You don't have enough. It's not because of the danmachi or your magic stats. It's because some of the power basically in Elden Ring, they're a little bit too dangerous for your body to handle. So this way the circuits basically can, can basically still work for you. Which I'm just blinking. So talking to Elvin Beast basically sounds like a tiny little child. Which I just hear says, "Don't judge me. I'm tiny and small. Of course I'm going to sound like a child." I'm like, fair enough. So the circuits are basically for more magical power, basically, to go into the tattoo. Which basically Elvin does make a nod. I'm like, cool. Now, are you going to? As it just suddenly absorbs back into the tattoo. I'm like, cool. Not freaky at all. As Hestia is like, Hunter? What was that? I'm like, something I have to deal with. Come on. As basically they just seem the body starting to slowly disappear. As when we're basically, walking, I basically hear inside my head basically a new spell will be given to you. Now, I knew I wrote it down, so just let me, basically see if I can say it properly. So give me a minute. So basically I'm like, wait, what spell did I get? Which it will say, well, the voice will say because of the Elden Beast. Basically it says, it's from Elden Ring, the Carrion Phalanx. Which I'm like, wait, that's like the multiple different, like, lights, well, basically swords, basically in midair, right? Yes. I'm just like, why does that remind me of Virgil? Why? Which I'm just like, oh yeah, because Virgil can do that. Which I just stop in place, which everyone's wondering, huh? I'm like, and I can't use it. It costs 34, basically, intelligence. Which, basically, that basically just says, technically speaking, you can put basically 4 points into it. You have enough souls, remember? I'm like, from all the monsters I killed down here, basically, along with basically that boss, which, how much did it give me? Which I hear Torius basically in Wolfhorn says, gave you 20,000 souls. And basically every monster that basically you killed on the first and second floor all the way down to basically the 15th, well, the 16th floor, 15th, 16th floor, whatever. I lost count of because I fell asleep, which I'm like, of course you did. You basically gained approximately, most likely, 11 to maybe 12,000 souls. Well, 12,300. Actually, probably 12,049 souls. Plus that 20,000, which I'm like, and combined with basically my 801, give me a minute, which gives me 48,050, 850, which basically at your tourist goes, yes, but you can't basically do it because everyone's there. I'm like, damn. Joe, as I can't, basically give me, the stats up. Alright, whatever. Hopefully Goliath is not there. I mean, Bell should be basically already down in the dungeon. It should be nighttime basically while it's, when we're about to get down there. In which, it is. It's nighttime for them. They're just, they're eating. Or, well, nearly about to eat. As when basically we, when basically we get to Goliath's room, I'm like, Okay, everyone. Let's do this quick rest here, and then, well, I'll basically be able to go into the room. Which basically everyone just nods. I think Ryu would just basically, finally, say something after I basically stand down resting. Which basically she'll be like, why are you basically so persistent to fight on your own? Basically you may die, which I basically just stay quiet and I'm just chuckling at that. She goes, huh? And I won't die. I promise someone I won't. Which basically I'm kind of lying. But, well, technically I would think about actually, hey, I promise you I won't die to his boss. Got it? Which basically she nods. Which I just look at Ryu basically serious and there, I won't. She goes, but you can't make a promise that you can't keep. No one can solo a boss by themselves unless they're basically level 4 or higher to it. Which I'm just shrugging eh. Then you basically, let's see on the very, very first time. Which basically I think that would just kind of shock her a bit. Which basically I just say to Biru in my head. But give me a minute. I'm saying, Biru, you're not going to be helping me since they're going to be going by. I can't let them know about your resistance just yet. Besides, there's going to be a whole bunch of monsters I need you basically to fight. Which basically this will increase your stats exponentially. Which, Biru, my liege, how do you know this? I'm like, as I said to Hestia, I know basically up to all season 2. She basically just I just don't hear nothing. And she goes, I understand, my liege. Is there anything else basically I would need to know? I'm I mean, if you could go into Hestia's shadow, that'd be great, but right now, though, just stay and put on standby. Got it? She would nod, mentally nod, saying, yes, my liege. And I would basically, I would basically, come out of my thoughts, and I would get up, and I would just stretch. I'm alright, so, I'm gonna attack this thing hard and keep it, basically, if it's there, basically distracted, as basically I will look into the boss room and, well, it's there. I'm I just slayed it yesterday. I'm thinking to myself. As then basically a note would appear only in front of me as I grab it. It goes side note, basically the dungeons making monsters, basically boss monsters appear basically faster than it normally would. So it took 2 weeks for basically Goliath to come back. Now it only takes 2 days. In which basically I just burned the note right away. I'm I hate you, you unknown goddess and god. As then I look back and okay, everyone. As I thought, I might have said it already, but Goliath is going to come back only in 2 days. So, basically, boss fight again. Boss fight. Yay. Which basically, which Ryu will be but wouldn't basically Bell and them basically be already killed if I would just sigh, I killed him yesterday. So as soon as I killed him till now, he's back. Which everyone's just blinking as I'm immediately walking in. As basically when I basically walk in, Rex Goliath sees me. I immediately take out basically the Curse Artorias. Not Curse Artorias. The Curse Abyss Sword. And I'm remember me? Which, basically, Goliath basically roars and basically tries to attack me. Me running towards it. And so basically Goliath will throw a punch, basically trying to kill me, and me dodging to the side. And basically, right when basically it punches the ground, me immediately using fire to basically launch myself towards it, as I basically I was slashed right through basically Goliath's arm. As it screams out in pain because the arm basically got cut off. As I yelled towards everyone, get going now! As basically everyone just starts running. Basically, Ryu is shocked. Hermes is thinking, what type of sword does he even have? And what is that? Honestly, it's just wondering how strong I am. And basically, Taki, basically Familia, Taki Machikuji, whatever how you say it. Whatever. I can never say it right, so Taki. Basically, Familia members. Makoto, Shizuka, and probably what Oga. Oh god, I forgot how to say his name. Give me a minute. Oka basically are just saying like thinking to himself, how he's a level 2. It's basically yeah. They all think it's the exact same as Rio, as Hestia just running basically, you know. As when everyone's basically getting down to the entrance, to the entrance to go down to floor 18, basically, I'm basically fighting against Goliath, basically shooting out my gun, basically with spirit bullets, and then immediately basically change into basically donor, basically, and then shooting out it, and basically seeing her doing damage, and I'm just smirking underneath basically, my mask, as basically I can see basically I'm totally different. Basically, movements are different, and even personality in my eyes basically is different. The whole entire time, she's been noticing that I'm basically not I'm not normal when I go into the dungeons, and basically it's kind of like everyone felt this uneasiness around me due to I've been probably admitting a little bit of bloodlust, and basically probably been going almost basically mad. Joking about the mad part, but I mean. Probably the whole entire bloodlust thing and basically my killer intent for the monsters. But yeah, I gotta put a log on real quick on the fire. As basically she just blinks, she basically sees, me basically dodging an attack, basically of a war, but then I basically noticed a punch coming towards me, and I'm thinking, oh crap! As I bring out basically the Abyss Shield, I basically switch bring out my compact shield, then basically put more magic into it, change it to the Abyss Shield, as it basically, as basically Goliath basically fist punches the Abyss Shield, send me flying back towards the entrance. As basically Hestia yelled, Soul! Because everyone went down there. As I'm just, thinking, because I hear it, and Goliath does, but I'm thinking, Hestia, you idiot! You should have never yelled! And I'm basically just thinking, I just called her an idiot. She cares about me. But still, this is a boss fight. As I'm basically, about to get up, and then all of a sudden, basically, the shield disappears, basically, as I basically about to get up, and then all of a sudden, basically, I feel that basically urge comes back. I'm like, no, not now. As I'm grabbing my throat as Hestia sees it, she just, oh no, as basically then she knows Goliath looking at her, as basically it's, growling. She just, shaking in fear, basically, as I'm like, I'm looking basically, and I see Goliath walking, about to basically throw a punch, as basically I'm just thinking, am I gonna really let her die? I said I would protect her, right? Am I gonna let this basically get the better of me? This simple urge for blood? To drink it? As I'm getting mad at basically at myself and basically at the situation, as I basically, get my hand off of my throat, and I say to myself in my head, yell out saying, no! Basically, just imagine I'm just yelling that, and then immediately basically, stand up, but for some reason, the fire basically erupted off of me. Basically, as that basically, it basically is like, when I say erupt, I meant like legit. It basically fire shooting upwards. Basically. As it does, it hit the ceiling of the 18th, not 18th, 17th floor of the boss room, as basically it does spread out, basically, making all this light, as Goliath basically stops throwing the punch as Hestia's in shock, and what she's seeing basically seems basically like my, Bloodborne type jacket, basically is flapping with the flames, and it looks like it's burning. Well, basically, my hat looks like it's getting singed, and basically, like, embers is on it, and my eyes are just glowing red. Basically, as Goliath turns around, it's basically, just growling out, but then kind of basically, it basically looks at me, basically, in the eyes, and basically kind of just, like, froze for a minute, as I am emitting a lot of freaking Bloodlust and Killer 10 on it, as I'm saying to myself, I'm not gonna let her die. It's my job to protect her, right? As the fact is, I grabbed the abyss, well, the cursed abyss sword, and make it disappear. As I'm just saying to myself, you know what? Let's test out basically this vampire strength. Plus, basically, fire on my, well, fire on my leg. Reference towards basically one of the famous cooks, well, an anime I know. Well, I mean, at least this attack. Probably never use it again, though. It's gonna hurt like a, it's gonna hurt like a, well, it's gonna hurt me a lot, I know it. So, even though I was chuckling inside, I still had to keep that basically, well, that menacing look on my face, but yet basically, for some reason, Hestia can tell basically I'm laughing on the inside about something. As I just say to Goliath, like, you're gonna go down in one shot. As I just basically just start running, basically, it looks like I just, well, not disappear to it, but leaving a flame trail of fire. All that fire that was hitting basically the roof is now basically going downwards and falling like a trail. As all of a sudden, basically, all that's going, basically following me, and basically pouring all into my leg, my right one, and basically including that was going around my body, as then all of a sudden it just turns blue. As basically Goliath would make, or do well, shout, or roar, that basically sent a shockwave towards me as I spin basically right, well, we'll just jump and spin basically over it, as it's basically still continuing my launch, as then basically I just go shoot off basically with my right leg, as I just, well, saying, this is the young Goliath! As I basically do a front flip and then basically put out my foot, basically like in a karate kick, kicking it right through the gut. And then right into the core. The fact is, I noticed the fire is actually absorbing into the core. And I'm just thinking, wait, what the? As right away, basically, it gets shot out, all the fire basically disappears, and it is going to the core. As he was like, wait, whoa, Saul! I'm just thinking, oh man, if Donatello was here, he'd probably say Cowabunga. Eh, freak it. As I just yell out, Cowabunga! Which Hessie like, what does that even mean? And she basically is about to, well, she jumps towards the hole, but me riding on the monster core of Goliath, basically goes right into the, well, into basically the, well, pathway going down to the 18th floor. And basically I also grabbed Hestia, basically giving her bridal style while riding on basically the core. As basically she can tell I'm actually having fun. She's like, you're crazy, you know that? I'm like, just basically tell her to bring out the mask, and basically she sees me smiling, and I'm like, of course I am. What do you think's gonna happen when you keep on dying? You get a little crazy. She goes, that doesn't make anything right. Make this even right. As basically, I'm just laughing while we're just riding down. And that's when, well, tell me Belle and them already arrived. I tell Hessie to bring back on my mask. She does, and then all of a sudden, everyone just sees, boom! Basically, the whole entire entrance was bigger, as basically, I just jump off the monster core, basically doing a front flip while still holding Hestia, and land into the monster core, basically slide and stop right behind me. As I put down basically Hestia, as I bow to her, and she goes, not funny at all. Which I just shrug. Which just Hermes and everyone else that was basically just wondering what happened. As basically they didn't see the Goliath's monster core, as I just touch it and just disappears. And then look at Makoto as she basically does give the bow back to me. And so basically Hestia just sighs and be like, I don't know why you... As then she just notices Belle. Right away, she goes, Belle! And that whole entire lovey-dovey... Well, not lovey-dovey, but that touching scene happens. Lily ruins it. And basically Finn, them are just kind of surprised. They just basically, well, are looking at me. Well, and eyes is too, tilting her head to the side. Just me, though, basically, for right now, I basically think to myself, I'm not hungry for blood. For how long, though? Probably gonna ignore it for so long. Right now, I'll enjoy the night. So, basically, what happens is very simple. As everyone is basically just kind of, well, wondering what's going on and everything, and wondering why two gods are here. Basically, I just think basically Finn would just come up and be like, hello there, Hunter. Well, actually, no. I think he wouldn't know. Yeah, no, he wouldn't know. He goes, hello there. Which I just nod. He goes, you don't talk much, do you? I just say, so-so. Which you say, who are you, basically? And Hestia was saying, oh, he's Hunter. Well, not his name is Hunter, but his title is Hunter. Which, basically, I think Hermes actually goes, correction, his full title is called Wolf Hunter. But his alias name he gave to the guild was Hunter. In which, basically, Finn one nod slowly was like, I see. I did not get a chance to ask you your name, but I do remember you talking, though. But of course, for some reason, you're trying to keep yourself hidden. I can understand that. Which I would nod, basically, to him. And so, basically, I would stretch, and basically, my bones would crack, my back, as I sigh relief. As he just chuckles like, so, would you like to go into the tent and tell us what happened? How basically you defeat the floor, I would see the floor boss, which it should have been taken care of. Which I put up the 2 fingers. He was, huh? Which basically, Hermes would chime in, well, not Hermes this time, Osprey would chime in. He basically would say, the floor bosses basically come back every 2 days. Which basically Finn's like, everyone that heard that would be shocked. And Finn goes like, I see. Which since the monsters are getting stronger, the dungeon's basically making the floor bosses stronger too. And that means basically it takes less time for them to come back. Which Osprey would nod. And so he would just sigh like, alright then, so come on, let's go out to the tent and basically give you good food afterwards. Which I would nod to that. And we would go to the tent, and basically Finn would just sit down on the crates that he would, as Rivia and the dwarf guy, I forgot his name. Well, the one that held the axe that basically would be in the exact same area when Belle was talking. But this time, basically, I'm trying to find the name of the guy. I think I never wrote it down. So I just call him the dwarf guy. I'm just gonna call him the dwarf adventurer. I think he's a dwarf. Actually, no. Let me look up his name. Okay, as Geralt Long Dark is there, Eyes is also there, and it's basically Tiana and Tiana are there too. And it's basically I just look around and has to be like, Hunter, can you? I'll just nod. And basically all of a sudden, basically my equipment would disappear as my arm gets bandaged up. As basically then everyone sees my real face, but I'm having basically a scarf around my neck. I'm like, hi. Which basically Tiana, Tiona, Rivia, Garroth, and basically, well, technically Finn's not surprised by the accident, are just in shock and you're like, you're the guy that basically you guys first met on my first day in, well, in Orion, yeah. Which, basically, Tiana is like, wow, you basically got here? Amazing. I'm like, yep. So basically Rivia would say, so you're level 2. I'm like, basically. Finn would ask, so you got here so easily. I'm like, yep. Which basically Hestia would just sigh like, Loki probably told you guys, huh? Or something like that. Which basically Finn just looks at her, which I'm just looking at Hestia, I'm like, huh? Which basically Hestia just sighs and we're like, well, as Hermes would actually say this because he can lie so easily, the unknown god or goddess basically appeared basically when Hades, well, with Hades. Basically, Hades explained everything while basically this unknown god or goddess basically gave us all the details. And so, basically, told basically everyone to warn basically about someone, well, the Abyss is sending some monsters after this person. And basically the dungeon may get a little bit more dangerous. Which Hades agreed, and that we could basically have to, train our basically members better. Which I'm just sighing, I'm like, and of course I'm making more problems than it needs to be. Which Finn would just chuckle at that. He goes, yes, and Loki figured it out, it was you. After I basically explained some things, and basically, well, basically Loki asked basically Hades to get in touch with this unknown god or goddess so she could basically get a better understanding. And let me guess, she played the games I basically, have the powers of. Well, stats of, which basically Finn would nod. He goes, yes, I already told basically everyone here, besides I was also told by, goddess Loki. Which, Tiona's like, it's actually very, weird that you actually are, basically non-human. And like, not by choice. Which basically Rivio's like, tell me, how did this happen? I'm like, started basically just because of basically the queen. Which basically they're just blinking. I'm like, basically a person was basically, how should I say, experimented with a cure, basically for basically a problem that they were having. And it basically turned out, basically they turned them into basically a being that would turn people into revenants. Which basically, Geralt would say, yes, Finn did say that. But what I don't truly get is a vampire. I'm like, trust me, vampires looks like human in some basically, different sorts of stories. Some can look like absolute monsters, while others can look exactly like humans, but they actually have immense strength. Some can basically go in the sunlight, others can't. Basically, though, you basically can, have different sorts of them, but they all have one thing in common. They're basically mentally strong, they basically are fast. Some have a regeneration that allow them to heal. Others basically would have other supernatural powers. And though they all basically can stay in the dark and basically be able to have a enhanced sense of smell, hearing, and sight. So, yeah. Which basically Finn's like, and you have to feed on blood every once in a while. Because it varies. Which basically he looks at me with curiosity. He goes, what do you mean? He goes like, all I know is I can basically spend probably like 2 or 3 weeks maybe without blood, and then I'm pretty much good. Maybe even almost a month. But I don't like drinking blood. Well, I mean, actuality, I actually do like the taste of blood, but I don't like, as Finn would finish, taking it from someone else. Which I just sigh, but like, yeah, it's my own blood. When you're a kid, you get hurt a lot, and basically bloody noses, you get used to it. In which, basically, they just blink. I'm like, what? Because that's weird. I'm like, it happens. I always got hurt as a kid. Okay, a minute. Okay, sorry about that. I'm just gonna finish this up real quick. I do have to basically wake up early tomorrow. Well, before 1. But anyway, so, as I was saying, basically, after I said that, so basically, the eyes says, so you got used to it. I'm like, yep, got used to the taste. So pretty much it's just, got used to it and just deal with it. Which she would just nod slowly. In which, I'm not like that in real life, I'm just saying this for the story's sake. So yeah. So Finn's like, I see, so can you tell me how you defeated Goliath? I'm like, second time doing it. Which I just blink, I'm like, yep, second time. Ooh, I have to add some stuff. In which they're like, oh wow. I'm like, It's not really biggie. I just got lucky, that's all. Which Finn will just nod. He was like, anyways, you should get something to eat and get, some sleep. Which I would nod to them like, well, anyways, come on, basically, let's see how Battle and the game are doing again with Oka, Makoto, and basically Chizuka. And when we get to the tent, yeah, no, it's kind of like a heated glare. Basically, the exact same thing going on. I'm like, well, thank God I had to intervene. Which basically, well, technically speaking, which Lily would turn around and saying, so you, as soon as she notices basically the bracelet on my, basically left arm, well, not left arm, right arm, she goes, that's, I'm like, oh yeah, thanks, Lily. When she goes, how did you, for that, I'm like, meh, someone found it and gave it to me. So, thanks. Basically, Lily gets a little tinge red because I'm smiling at her for that. Basically, Wolf was like, so where did you get the necklace? Like, got it from Seer. Don't know why, though. Which, basically, Belle's like, that's weird. I'm like, yeah. Oh, hey, Makoto, can you give me back my bow? She goes, yes, here. As I just grab it, I'm like, thanks. I just, basically, before I make it disappear, Wolf was like, how did you do that? I'm like, well, not do that. Where did you get that? I'm like, oh, this? I made it. Because that's a magic weapon. I'm like, oh, no. no. It's basically a regular short bow merged with basically monster cores. As I just make it disappear. I'm like, technically it's a magic weapon, but it won't basically break. Which he's just like, how? I'm just looking at him like, I'm a blacksmith. Well, in training at least. He's just blinking. He's like, dot. So I'm like, anyways, let's get some food and let's get some shut-eye. I need it. Ugh, I'm tired. Which basically, Hermes goes, great idea, let's go. And that's what we did. And now, I have to go, everyone. I hope you guys will have a nice day, night, wherever you are. So, yeah, I'll make the thumbnail tomorrow. And basically, probably post in my comments in my community tab beforehand. So, have a nice day, everyone. Night, wherever you are. Bye.